Hello guys, welcome to SMJK Jungha Teno where TIC is located. Let's take a look inside. As we enter TIC, we can see the first station, which is the glass cabinet. This is where we put all the Arduino project modules and guidebooks that are related to TIC. Moving on to the next station, we have a station where we put down all the equipment and components for the mentors. A good design is a must in any projects. Here, we have the 3D printers that can be used to turn the imaginations of our mentors alive. Videographic is one of our favorite things. At TIC, a green screen has been installed to be used in video making process. Our mentors always come up with a lot of innovative ideas. This is where the creative corners becomes handy. Mentors can jot down their ideas on the wall for easier reference. Creative space when the students comes in anytime to simply make anything. TIC provides trainings and workshops for the students from primary and secondary schools. To date, we have conducted various workshops such as Arduino Scratch programming, wood workshop, drone assembling and navigation course, 3D pen and 3D printing course, and Raspberry Pi sharing impacting over 1,000 students. TIC also co-organizes Teno Makers Fair with PPD Teno since 2018, showcasing students' projects in terms of programming and robotics. In a nutshell, TIC strives in providing solution to community. We set up QR codes for plants in Taman Pertanian Sabah, covering almost 300 orchid species. We also train the staff to generate and link databases.
Good evening and Selamat Hari Malaysia, everyone. I'm Dr. Chiu from Chumbaka, your moderator for this evening. Right, a big shout out to Sabah Creative Economy and Innovation Center, CIMIC, for organizing this Empowering Youth Through Digital Making in Sabah webinar in its Your Voice of Our Future webinar series. Right, we also like to introduce our collaboration partner, Turnham Innovation Center, and three influential speakers to discuss about the tonight's topic. We have Puan Sri Maimun Arif, co-founder and senior advisor of Elevate for Impact. Next, we have Mr. Richard Kerr, the vice president for partnership and ecosystem development at Aerodyne Group. Last but not least, Mr. Arthur Ken Raymond, co-founder of Kinabalu Coders. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Thank you for
evening.
your time.
Evening.
Selamat Hari Malaysia.
Selamat
Yeah,
Hari
happy Malaysia
Malaysia.
Day.
Right, this evening's webinar session is fully supported by Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation Sabah and our tech team, Sinsoft Sendian Berhad. So for all the viewers from the Facebook, from Instagram, please let us know where are you from, where are you watching this webinar from, are you a student, working adults, right? Put them in the comment sections. Yeah, we are curious about you. We want to know about you so that we can make this webinar more relevant to you. Right, so also you can put in all your questions while you're listening to the panels, right? Put all your questions in the comment sessions. Yeah, we will do our best to answer all of them at the end of the sessions. So get the questions in. All right, panelists, are we ready? Let's get rolling. Simple question to start with. First of all, thank you again for to all the three panelists for making time this evening. To warm up this evening, I would like to start with a simple introductory questions to the panelists. What are the digital making initiatives that you have or you are involved currently in Sabah? And why do you involve in these initiatives? Right, can we start? Let us start with Puan Sri Maimun.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chiu. Selamat Hari Malaysia, everyone. Yeah, so I think I'll start with the why. Um, I was the group TSR director in Hapsing, and as part of our initiative to do social work. So I checked with my team because we have about 10,000 staff in Hapsing group, and main point is the graduates that comes out from university are not ready for work. And one of the reasons stated was that they lack confidence. They have not they can't communicate well, and so if you look at the education blueprint, it is also stated that one of the things that they really wanted to do in the Malaysian education blueprint is to to sort of strengthen the high order thinking skills in our students. So that's where we started from. The why is really, so let's be part of the solution to create more of future generation that has the ability to think. Um, so we went around looking at programs that has got a few things in it. One, it must have high order thinking skills. Two, it must build capacity. Three, it must be able to scale, and it should be sustainable, because our role there, we are very clear that our role has to be just as a catalyst. So it could be any program. So we went with a few different programs, and one of them is coding. Why coding? Because it is sexy. It's something that kids would love to have their hands on. Um, and it's just a new language. So we decided to go to Sabah in 2015, and we ran a coding program for all the schools in Sabah. So there are 212 schools in Sabah. We managed to cover 210, 98.99%. So not bad. So we took that to the next level, and after in 2017, we decided to scale it up. Instead of working with students, we work with teachers. I'll tell you a little bit about it later, why we moved from student to teachers. So that's how we got involved in the digital making. It's really not because we want to do digital. We want our future youth to be able to think. So that's how it came about.
All right. Thank you, Puan Sri. Thank you for sharing. So I like what Puan Sri said, right? Coding, technology, robotics, very sexy thing at the moment. So I think that is what digital making, and then I think that's where the Sabah youth should hop on this. Right. What about you, Mr. Richard? Uh,
All right. Okay. So I play two hats here. So I actually work for Aerodyne Group, which is Malaysia's leading technology company. Aerodyne Group basically it's a drone-based solutions provider. So we use drone technology to do inspection of power lines, solar panels, wind turbines, and around the world. So that's the first part. The second part is I'm also actually a Sabahan. I'm from Tawau, but I started North Borneo Historical Society about 10 years ago. Basically, it's a digital society to promote Sabah's rich history to the world. So what I've been doing over the last 10 years is actually building content and getting more and more people to be interested about Sabah's history. And today is actually very significant for Sabah because it is actually a Malaysia Day. It is the day when Malaysia was formed. So through the North Borneo Historical Society, I believe I have created a huge number of followers over the years. I think it's reaching about 70,000 followers now. And the good thing is it has attracted a lot of young people in Sabah and to be more interested to learn about Sabah's history and to also create digital content that they can share either on Facebook or YouTube. So that is basically in a nutshell about what is my contribution or involvement in Sabah's digital industry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. Wow, another sexy term, drone. Right. So last but not least, the most sexy one, the Kinabalu coders. I think that's
No
the
lah.
most sexy term. Yeah, Mr.
Thank you
Arthur.
very much, Dr. Chu. So I'm a coder. I'm from Kinabalu Coders. I'm not sure whether I feel sexy right now, but I shall endeavor to try. I'll try lah, doctor. But so I'm Arthur. I'm from Kinabalu Coders. Actually, our full name is a very long name. Is Persatuan Pengatur Cara dan Pembina ICT Sabah. Yes, I'm from Kota Kinabalu, and Kinabalu Coders has been around since 2014. So just a little bit of stuff which you see on screen now. So in case you need to like to know more about what Kinabalu Coders does, there's a little QR code on top that you can scan. But what we do is basically we support open developers and maker communities in Sabah. And we are not-for-profit society, sort of also like Mr. Richard's North Borneo Historical Society, except we do developers, not land developers, software developers and maker communities in Sabah. Our membership is 100% volunteers, and basically we've been at it since 2014, and we sort of have an interesting history with Kinabalu Coders, because when we started in 2014, it was to actually organize small robotics events, maybe something about Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, and coding as well. And what happened was there was a demand for this. As the world changed, as Industrial Revolution 4.0 and all those buzzwords came up, in that time, there was a greater and greater need for technology and the application of that technology in our lives, and the need for ourselves to also do it yourself, DIY for those technologies. And thus, we also then started having a maker movement in Sabah and the rest of Malaysia, actually, when you think about it in those times. And so far, we're still here. Kinabalu Coders is still here. We're still helping. We're still running things online. We are trying to connect the dots between people and technology and the skills and so on, all here in Sabah. And sometimes we take a step out and do it with our friends in Sarawak, or sometimes we'll work with our partners as well from West Malaysia, basically anywhere, so that we can get technology, make technology accessible to the masses. And these are the things that we do. Some of it is sexy. Yes, they are drones, and yes, there's Raspberry Pi encoding it, and some of it is definitely not that sexy, but the things that we do to connect people and technology together. So I think back to you, Dr. Chu.
Thank you very much, Arthur. I mean, as a moderator and disclaimer, I'm not Sabahan. I'm from Penang, and I'm in Penang. And by hearing from three of you, the pure Sabahan, I really can feel like your sincerity and what you're trying to do for the Sabahan. And I hope for the viewers or the Sabahan youth who are listening to this, please put in your questions, right? We can ask them and then get some of their insight if they haven't have an opportunity to share in their talk. Get some of their insight and then do something for your own Sabahans. All right. Next, move on. Three of you have been walking down this journey for a few years. Point 3 is from 2015. Arthur is from 2014. Mr. Richard is also a few years down the road, right? Can you share with us what is your proudest moment or what's your happiest moment from your initiative, and also some challenges if you have or you still can remember, right? Yeah. Let's start with point 3.
There are so many proud moments. There are so many aha moments. Um, I remember when I first brought up the idea to my board that we wanted to spend more than $1 million for the program for the whole of Sabah. And some of my senior management was saying, you want to go to all the kampong and you want them to do coding, what would they be able to do, And it's all in programming language. Their English is so poor, they will not be able to do anything. Oh, it was so great to prove them wrong. When we finished the first phase out of the 210, and we had it something like a showcase competition. Guess who won most of the winners teamwork from the rural area? And it was such a big learning for us, because what we noted was that students from the rural areas, they're so hungry, they are like sponges. They just learn and they work because they don't know anything. They work as a team. They are so willing to learn from each other, and not only that, they work hard. Um when they have to sleep on the floor in hostel, because we don't have funding for hotels, they have to stay in hostels, and in the hostels are full, so they just have to bring their own pillow and their own blanket and sleep on the floor, but they are fine with it. And what we also noted on the phase 2 was that um, the schools that has got teachers that were invested in them, they were able to bring the next level. So those who had gone for the training with us will start teaching their peers. So for the next phase, we make it a challenge that you have to compete to get in. And you must have a group where it is those who had gone from the first phase and some other new team members. And two-thirds of them were new. They've never done coding, but they learn from their peers. So, and knowing that teachers is so important, the next program that we did, that's when we team up with Chumbaka, we focus on teachers. And this time we focus in the interior. And so we went with PPD, Keningau, Tenam, Nabawan, and Tambunan. And out of that, our proudest moment is the creation of TIC. TIC came from our program, and they have scaled themselves up. We never foresee where they would go, and every now and then I hear that, oh, we are doing outreach, we are going to primary schools, and who are we? The students are the one teaching the teachers in primary school. The students are the one who are teaching the pegawai daerah in Tanam. So, yeah. So that is our proudest moment. So it just goes to prove that it can scale. A program that has been well designed can scale, and it can be sustainable. And what challenges that we have really are the pegawai anywhere outside the school. So, but despite them, the teachers are great. Our service provider are so able to navigate through all the red tapes in all the MOE. So for that, I'm very thankful to have very good partners in whether it is Startup Malaysia, Chumbaka, Petroscience. So all our service providers have been very good at navigating the MOE red tape or maze, I call it. Yeah. Or I could go on and on talking about it. So let me stop here.
All right, thank you, Puan Sri. I mean, this is something that we are also thankful to Puan Sri. Without Hapsing, without Puan Sri, Chumbaka will never have put our step into Sabah. And now we have been in Sabah, I don't know, for 3-4 years now, and we are still working in Sabah. Thank you very much. And for the viewers, Puan Sri has been mentioning about TIC, and if you are not aware, TIC stands for Ternum Innovation Center, which is also the partner of the webinar tonight. All right, so without TIC, without Hapsing, tonight's webinar, it also won't be working today, right? We won't be here today as well. Right, next, what about Mr. Richard? What is your proudest moment and challenges?
Okay, so again, I will talk from two different perspectives. One, of course, is from North Borneo Historical Society, and one is from my company, the company that I'm attached to, which is Aerodyne. So to talk about, firstly, about North Borneo Historical Society, I guess one of the most proudest moments would be when we managed to save more than 100 years old train station in Malalap, actually, which is not too far from Tanam. So that actually happened about 3 to 4 years back, I believe, when North Borneo Historical Society managed to build the digital community in Sabah. So when we tried to push out a campaign to save that train station, I believe the campaign was shared quite extensively on social media, which actually took the attention of back then the Minister of Tourism, Datuk Nasidi, and then he saw the campaign was actually went viral, and of course at the same time we managed to reach out to Puan Joanna Kitingan from the Sabah State Museum, she was the director back then, to actually work on that project to save that train station in Malala, which is not too far from Tanam. So we managed to work with the local communities and of course some of the young people there in Sabah to be pushing out the proposal to the minister, and eventually the train station has been saved and it is now declared as a national heritage, because initially it was planned to be demolished. And of course, because if we don't have history and something to look back to, it is actually not good for us, because we need to always think about how do we preserve Sabah's history and heritage. And of course, at the same time, we, aside from pushing all this, sharing old photos about Sabah on the digital platforms, we also ran some photo exhibition, physical photo exhibition in KK. And the most exciting part is we managed to get a lot of volunteers from young people to be involved in the photo exhibition, and they get to learn about the history about Sabah, and of course sharing the history with the visitors visiting the place. And now I'm going to talk about Aerodyne. In fact, we are going to announce something big in Sabah very soon, working together with Scenic. So wait for that news. We are actually going to push a drone-based solution, a large-scale solution related to drones for Sabah, and of course to get the youth to be more involved in drone technology, which we believe can change the landscape of the tech industry in Sabah in a large scale. All right, that is my sharing.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Mr. Richard. I'm very sure that all the viewers out there will be excited and waiting for the big news to come out. Can you tell us roughly when will it be announced? Next month?
I think it should be before end of the month.
Oh, good. So meaning there's another 2 more weeks. All right, Sabah, 2 more weeks. Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. All right, Mr. Sexy Man, Mr. Arthur. Is there any moment that still like very stick into in your mind that you'd like to share?
Certainly, Dr. Chu. So I suppose with Kinabalu coders, I also want to thank Dr. Chu for asking the really important question just now also to Mr. Richard about when is it going to happen, because we always are waiting for the next big thing to happen here in Sabah. So to go back to my sharing, so Kinabalu coders, in terms of our proudest moment and challenges that we face, I suppose you could say they're joined together, and also echoing the previous panelists as well about people working together and so on. One of the more important things that we are proud of is stuff like community sharing and problem solving. Actually, of all the things in Kinabalu coders that we are most proud of is probably not just the technology, but the people itself, in terms of those individuals who are in our communities sharing together and actually coming up with a shared solution to a problem. And in this way, they learn skills and experience via this maker ecosystem that we have. It's not necessarily Kinabalu coders. It could be from Chumbaka, could be from Petroscience, it could be from North Borneo Historical Society, and it could be from also not to say outsiders, but I mean, for example, like external NGOs who come into Sabah and so on, including like Dreamcatcher and Chumbaka and so on. So we all learn from each other. We all share with each other. So we are proud of that network because it leads to that sort of grassroots empowerment and exposure. Because it's not just you're inside a small little room and you're shouting inside that room and nobody can hear you. Now, there are plenty of opportunities for our guys here in Sabah that, hey, I've got an idea. And they can talk to somebody who can say, I think that's a great idea. Why not we do something with it? And that is the real thing that I think, not just me, not just Kinabalu coders, that we're all proud of, that we can empower and expose people. So here's a quick example. I quickly put this together because I think the teacher who did this is in our audience as well. You know who you are, or he can go into the comment later. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of sharing. Back in March 2016, Kinabalu Coders, we were like running a normal exhibition. You know, school students come along, they see what sort of technology we're running, 3D printers, Raspberry Pis, and so on. And it just so happened we met a teacher. And that teacher is also now involved with the Tenham Innovation Center. And we said, oh, here's a Raspberry Pi. Would you like to try it out? And one thing led to another. And then later, this happened. Suddenly, Raspberry Pis in Nabawan in 2017. It's a simple story. Now, obviously, Kinabalu Coders is not the only person who did this. It's not the only NGO that promoted it. But sometimes, the more you share, the more likely it is something will happen. And this is all part of that growth of that ecosystem. So then after that, this school, SK Pengaraan, they managed to get full funding on 100% projects to set up a small Raspberry Pi lab in Nabawan, and so on and so forth. But now, as time goes by, just as a note, because I've shown you all the physical stuff, training has moved online. But even so, we have adapted to this change. So now when we do training, we do it online, we use simulators and so on. So here are some examples from what we do. So the proud thing about this, that's why we're proud of this. The challenge comes, but we can face it through technology and people, because people are willing to spend their time. People can connect the dots. They can be innovative about it. And the technology exists that we can make use of it. And we're very glad that we can do this. So it really boils down to having small and simple building blocks to solve bigger problems. And this is something we excel at because we are makers. And this whole thing about digital making is also we have the building blocks to build solutions to bigger problems. And this is both the challenge and something to take pride in, because we tend to solve these things by doing it ourselves. So just a little bit more to go back to 2020, when, as you know, the first movement control order came up. There was probably a statewide or nationwide shortage of personal safety equipment, or PPEs, and through Kinabalu coders, but also using tools that were available freely and online, at least just for Sabah. Some of us in Kinabalu coders, as well as from other schools from all around Sabah, we managed to coordinate, um, basically coordinate the 3D printing from, in different districts. Even though the districts might be behind a roadblock, you can't go in, you can't come out, but somehow just using Google Data Studio and a spreadsheet, we can coordinate all these 3D printers, what material you need, how much can you print, who can you deliver it to. So this is empowering to the grassroots. It also shows why making and digital making and just going digital is the way forward for our communities, for our people, for our agencies. Because beyond that, just think about it. We're just normal people. We're not experts, but even when we're not experts, we can do something not just useful, but disruptive and helpful and beneficial to the community at the same time. So I hope this sort of outlines that both our proudest moments as well as the challenge. But don't forget lah, technology also matters too. It's people and technology. We join the dots. So like what you see behind me right now is basically a permanent video conferencing system built on a Raspberry Pi. So this one, just want to show it because it's cute. But think about this. Imagine if you had this in your school, your agency, and so on. It's cheap to build, easy to maintain. But then next time you need somebody to drop by, and it's during a pandemic, or there's a movement control order, why not just drop by remotely instead of having to, Aya, call you up, are you online? Okay lah, then we start talking. So it's people and technology. We're proud of them. They are challenges also for people and technology, but we are also approach those challenges and solve them one by one as we go along. So I hope that gives a bit of an idea of the challenges and our proudest moments as well for Kinabalu coders and the rest of the communities that we work with as well. Back to you, Dr. Chu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arthur. Right. Before I continue, Arthur, can each of us have one unit of that Pi conferencing unit?
Can. The schematics are available for free. Because wait, I show you what I mean. Later, if you're interested, you can go here, this link, jitcnc.github.io. We already open source all the software. So actually all you need to do is set up a Raspberry Pi with a webcam and so on and run this in the browser and it should work. There's more
All right.
instructions at the GitHub site as well.
Thank you very much. I think the viewers, yeah. So
Yeah.
to point of that, if you have any technical issue, give Arthur a call. He will save you up. Right. I hope the viewers, wherever you are, I hope you catch the point, right? What all these point three, Mr. Richard, Mr. Arthur was talking. I think point three point out a point behind the our chat here. What we need to start all these things is someone with heart, right? Someone who cares, right? And you can see how much care that these three panelists have for your own Sabahan, right? And those, those viewers, you are out there, wherever you are, you're in University in Peninsula or overseas, wherever, doesn't matter, right? As long as you have the heart, do always think of your own Sabahan and make them better, all right? Let's see what else they have to share, right? Ponsri, Richard, and Arthur, right? You have, I'm very sure you have put a lot of effort into your in your initiative for the last few years, right? I'm very sure there are also some blood, some sweat into it as well, right? Do you mind if you share with us what have you learned from over these years, and if we have this if we can turn back the clock, right? What do you like to change or do it differently so that we can increase the impact, right? So let's start with Ponsri.
What would I do differently? I don't think I would do anything differently, but I would fight to get more funding, to get um, more programs to push, because we did for the teachers, we just did one session to proof of concept. I could imagine if we have enough funding, we could move to the other district in Sabah and see where it goes. If we have one TIC in the, well, we have four makers in the interior. We have two in Tambunan Makers Club. We have one in Keningau and we have one in Tanam. So can you imagine if every district has got their own makers, how great it would be. And all these makers, the difference between these makers and any other makers in other schools in Peninsula is that um, they have to collaborate with other schools. They have to open their makers hub to other schools. And they have to learn how to interact and work with other schools. So to me, that's what Arthur was saying. It's about networking. It's about leveraging on each other's strength. It's about supporting each other. And if more of the what do you call this teachers are given the trust, are given the empowered to run this program. I love what the principal for Tenam Chungpa said to me. Said, as a principal, my role is to just make sure that if they have problem with their aircon, I go and find money to make sure that the aircon can work. If they have problem with the other schools, my job is to have a conversation with the other principal. Whatever happens in the Makers Hub, I leave it. I empower my teachers and my students to run it. I open my school to all the other students to come, the community to come. So I suspect if I am still working, now I'm not working in the corporate anymore. If I am still funding, the next team I would fund are the principals and the leaderships in the school. Get them to learn how this Makers Hub work. Get them to get excited about this, because what we noted is that kids who learn how to code, how to learn to make, they collaborate, they think outside the box, they are able to communicate, they are able to synthesize their thoughts, they are able to find what the problem is. And what I learned from the program, the schools in the rural areas, is that if they learn to understand their own problem, they are able to come up with their own solution that is so local to them. So like the one program that one project, so these kids went to their uncle's sawah padi, and so that the uncle was forever trying to get rid of the birds, so they automate it for the uncle, and the uncle was saying, okay, can you do it real full scale for us? And the kids could do that. So these are a simple application that kids can run. So you don't need multi-million-dollar application that the adults come in to try to work on simple problems in your local area. So yeah, so just trust. If I have to do it all again, over again, trust, trust, and build relationship. Get them to enjoy what they're doing. If they find the joy in learning, you can just leave them be. I've been out of TIC since 2018. Until today, TIC still contact me and they to just tell me what's the latest development. And I was like, wow. So they had a problem with not enough, they don't have enough computer. They find Kinabalu coders, they find other people, they collaborate, and they've got so many Raspberry Pi computers now. So they had problem during the pandemic because they don't have enough computers for these students. They have connection. So this is what is important: connecting, collaborating. I cannot say more about that. So yeah, so I'm so super proud of the ecosystem that they have built. So just trust them, and once in a while nudge them, give them, connect them with people outside their sphere. So the IC has been connected to Japan. So they've got connection with students in Japan. So if we can do it with a school in Vietnam, what more with other schools if they have that opportunity? So yeah, if I have to do it all over again, I'll fight for more funding from internals.
Thank you very much, Puan Sri. I hope the viewers heard what Puan Sri is trying to say. I think connection is very important. And then as a Sabahan youth, listen to your heart. You know better what you need, right? Rather than let other people from outside telling you should do this and you should do that, right? There are a lot of things that you can do at your home ground, at your own kampong, right? Doesn't matter, right? Okay, thank you very much, Puan Sri. Yeah, don't worry, your project's still running. Now we are in Tawau, and we are hopefully in Tawau we can build another TIC, probably Tawau Innovation Center, right? In Tawau soon. Okay, next, Mr. Richard.
All right. So thank you, Dr. Chu. I think I believe what you said just now was spot on when you said you can do something for Sabah from anywhere, and that is actually quite true. Because when I started North Borneo Historical Society in 2011, I was actually based in China, and I started it everything remotely without actually being in Sabah. So everything was, I scouted, I discovered photos online. I check digital archives in the UK. Everything I did digitally, and of course, sharing all these beautiful photos of Sabah on the North Borneo Historical Society page, which has grown to about 70,000 followers today. So there is no limit to of what you can do since everything is connected today. But I'm just hoping that the infrastructure, especially internet infrastructure in Sabah, will improve over time. And of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
it is yeah, it is great to know Arthur, who's they built a lot of great talent in Sabah, and of course, Puan Sri Maimun, she has been building communities and the ecosystem as well. I think this will truly benefit Sabah in the long run. So, if there's anything that I want to do it differently, actually, what I really want to do, I mean, related to North Borneo Historical Society, for example, I'm planning to work with the community in Sabah, for example, to build a virtual reality platform or augmented reality platform where people can experience Sabah probably in the 1930s or 1940s using digital technology. So imagine if you put him on a virtual reality headset and it takes you back in time 50 to 60 years ago and experience how Sabah looked like back then. Imagine the architecture and how people used to dress in those days. I believe this is the kind of digital content that the youth can really take advantage of, build that content, and then we can promote this. This kind of type of content around the world, and there's a huge opportunity to monetize from this. And of course, we can also leverage on digital art. I believe there are a lot of digital artists in Sabah who will have talent in drawing, and we can also leverage on this for them to create art about Sabah's history and those kind of things. And that is of course from North Borneo Historical Society, but from Aerodyne's perspective, which is the drone company that I'm working for, there are a couple of things that we really want to build in Sabah. For example, we want to push agriculture drone solution, whereby, as you know, Sabah is big in the plantation industries, right? So imagine using these drones to perform crop spraying. You're spraying the pesticides using drones, and the youth are able to pilot these drones autonomously using a remote control, and they can control 3 or 4 drones at the same time, and then basically replacing all the foreign labor who are actually working at the plantation. So we can actually do a reverse migration of people moving to big cities or big towns, and they remain in their towns or in the kampong, and of course help to enrich the economy. So those are the kind of things that we want to see and build. And of course, if you look at other types of drone technology applications that you can use for Sabah, for example, as you know, Sabah has a huge forest, and you can use drone technology to map out forests in Sabah and identify the health conditions of the forest, for example, and you can use drones to monitor the wildlife. Imagine all the pygmy elephants in the Kinabatangan River. Instead of we're trying to prevent people from poaching them or poisoning these elephants, we can use drones to monitor these elephants remotely. And imagine if we have all these young people and youth to be involved in this kind of technology, I think we can really change the whole technology landscape and improve all the livelihood and the infrastructure in Sabah. So that is actually the 2 things I really want to do for Aerodyne, of course, from North Borneo Historical Society.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. I'm not sure. I think some of the TIC members are here watching. Probably so. TIC, if you like to volunteer yourself to collaborate with Mr. Richard on his the digital archive team, I think that is a good experience for the students as well in Tenom, and like Malalap again is near the Tenom, so
Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity, right?
Yeah, definitely. Imagine I'm just thinking out loud because, for example, North Borneo Railway or the train system in Sabah is actually very unique in Borneo because you don't have any other place in Borneo which has a train station or a rail track. And the rail station, so the history of North Borneo Railway, for example, it goes back to from the early 1900s, and it is actually contributed very significantly to Sabah's economy because it was the only mode of transport back then to move produce from the interior, like Tenom, for example, to the port town of Jesselton or Kota Kinabalu today. So we can create that experience where people can put on a VR headset and imagine when they take the train and sitting it, imagine they're actually sitting inside the train and looking at the view in those days and how people dress up and those kind of things. And this is actually the kind of work that I really want to work with the local communities to build this kind of content, and of course, getting all the young people to be involved.
Very good, very good. I can't
Richard,
help you. Sorry. Yeah,
sorry,
Sri.
Richard, when you build that, please put in a little bit of fun and humor, because one of the things that when we were young, when we want to take that train, you have to be ready that you'll have soot in your nose because it is fire engine
Yes,
using
that's correct.
firewood. So there's a lot of soot. So you'll have a little bit of
Yeah,
soot on your nose.
right. Because it was like using coal trains, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All the exactly.
And Mr. Richard, I can't help you in AR. I'm not Saban, but I can help you to test out. Once you're ready, if you're not tester to test out, I don't mind to be your tester.
Of course. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Thank you very much. Again, I want to point out to the viewers, there are so many talent from Sabah everywhere, around Malaysia or in the world. So again, like what Puan Sri, networking is very important. Connect to the people. Don't think that you are alone in this world. There are a lot of people will be behind you. And please make use of all your connection that you know. All right. Okay. Next, we move on to Mr. Arthur.
The question is about scaling. Thank you very much, Dr. Chu. By the way, since I also overheard just now about, now you're doing things in Tawau as well. Just want to let you guys know, both Puan Tri and Dr. Chu, actually College Community Tawau loves Raspberry Pis. They actually have Raspberry Pis enthusiasts there. So in case you need some local talents to help out, you can reach out to College Community Tawau as well. And I think they might be happy to help out. This is just as an aside. So back to the things that we could do earlier and things that we have learned. I sort of summarized it. It isn't complete. It boils down to these three things, which is no matter what stage you are at, if you're running a community, a project, a company, or whatever, always remember to do record keeping earlier. Because looking back, we've been around, of course, although Kinabalu Coders has been around since 2014, we've already been moving around in the community for a while. So obviously, data from the good old days is sparse. But right now, when you look at the data, you can see, look, there's a pattern, there's a trend. Just a moment. I'm not really sure why the page went backwards just now. So do your record keeping earlier if you can. Then, echoing again the sentiments about networking and communicating with each other, you need to have a standardized communication platform, something that everybody agrees with and is comfortable with. So, for example, if it's WhatsApp, then it's got to be WhatsApp. But if you have better solutions which are free, or who knows, somebody is willing to sponsor, let's say Slack or whatever, I'm sure some of us have heard of Slack, then these platforms are great, especially when you're sharing technical information. Because on WhatsApp, I can share pictures and memes and so on. But when you're sharing technical information, platforms like WhatsApp, Telegram might be too limited for your needs as you go down the road. The third one is something that has been echoed by many of Kinabalu Coders members, which is langgar saja. And langgar saja simply means, and also, again, echoing, if you have an idea, why not try that idea? Do not fear so much. Like just now earlier, Puan Tri Maimon mentioned the lack of confidence. Here's the thing. This is where you gain and learn that confidence, because start small, go bigger, And then suddenly you realize I've learned something. That makes, even if you don't succeed, you learn something in the process. So why not just langgar saja? And that way you get to see what works, what doesn't. And at the same time, because when you start doing things, then you realize I need to talk to more people. So you reach out to maybe the Tenam Innovation Center if you are nearby. You might reach out to Kinabalu Coders. You might reach out to North Borneo Historical, Chumbaka, whoever is around you. And that creates that communication. And that is something that you can always have. And that's what makes Sabah very special. We all talk to each other. It's not like we all sombong don't want to talk with each other. We really do talk with each other. We share as much as we can because we realize, to put it simply, Sabah, not to say we terpencil in, but we are a bit far away from other states. So generally speaking, this is neither negative nor positive. It just makes us, hey, let's talk to the guy next to us first because it makes it easier for communication and so on. So now we can do it online, even better. Distance doesn't really matter anymore. So that's a little bit about scale. Um, and the things that we've learned. So these three things, they are definitely much more, but these three things are definitely some of the things that we would have done earlier if we realized that, wow, Kinabalu Coders now is not just a small NGO. We have like um, not that we have official members, but basically there are a lot of people in the maker ecosystem. So it would be nice if we keep that that data, that communication, those platforms, and so on. So that's a little bit about lessons learned and things that we could have done better. Not to say is what. So um, I believe there was also a question just now. So Dr. Cho, I hope you don't mind. I just take that question directly.
Sure, sure.
The question from Facebook. Ah, yes. From I'm sure the what? There was a question from Facebook from a Mr. Harvey Chin about how can coding empower the young generations in Sabah. So, as a coder, there's one thing that we always say, and that is the software is eating the world. Now, anybody can go out, buy a computer, buy a laptop, or whatever, or even you can buy a robot right now. But the thing is, what keeps those robots, those computers working is software. So there's this sentence that we keep saying software is eating the world. What? Perisian memakan dunia doesn't translate well. But the point is, every single one of these devices run on software. Tidak lain, tidak bukan, it is software. So the idea here is by learning coding right, you're actually learning what this generation, the next generation, and all the generations that come after it, this is what code powers. Code powers data processing. They coding is sort of a gateway job to that is a gateway job and also a gateway to higher order thinking because you use software to solve problems. You code software to solve problems. So this is probably an oversimplification, but just to address the question, how does it empower the young generation? It teaches them actually how to solve problems. You don't just program for the sake of programming. Sometimes you program, you use code to solve a problem. Like given one of the earlier examples that I've shown, the one where we use data to solve issues, just a moment. Um, when we use data to solve those issues, right, we need software. We need data analysis and data science, which is related with coding and so on, to actually figure out who's producing, who's 3D printing, how many face masks they can print, and so on. So all of this powered by software. Yes, there's hardware, but hardware you can just buy off the shelf. But software and data, that's the special part. And this is the part that actually empowers you if you have some coding knowledge. You don't have to be expert programmers, but you just need to understand how software works, what are the difficulties, the challenges, and the advantage you have. Then with software, you can automate your processes so that you can spend time on solving the actual problem instead of sitting down just typing in data the whole time and doing things manually. So I'm sure the other panelists might also have comments for the question, but hopefully this gives an idea about how it empowers. So back to you, Dr. Chu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arthur. I kind of agree with you more. I think coding will become sometimes people call it as a fourth literacy, right? Apart from writing, reading, counting, next thing that we need to know is coding, right? So, yeah, for the youth, for the young children, no matter where you are, not only limited to Sabah, I think coding is something is up and coming, right? The last question for tonight. Yes, as a Sabahan, since three of you are from Sabah, originating from Sabah, what is your dream for Sabah community in terms of this digital making? And what is your advice to any of these Sabahan youth? Should they want to embark the journey like what you have creating, right? Is there any advice for them? Right. Let's start with Puan Sri again.
I don't think I should give any more advice. They can, if we are to empower them, we should not be telling them what to do, but we should be showing them what has been done and get them to seek inside themselves and do something different. Because whatever advice I can give now might be obsolete by the time it gets to them. That's how fast technology is, isn't it? So what I do now, I do a lot of coaching. So I have stopped advising people. I have started listening a little bit more. Listen to a lot of people, observe what it is that they want to do, and get them to find inside them what they want out of it. And I think a lot of the good things that has been done in Sabah, uh, it has not been told. The story has not been told. Um, it would be great if a lot of these stories can be curated, can be told. I'm sure a lot of nuggets in there. Um, I've been saying this to the TIC team. If you can just tell the story from the eye of that student, how it was for them to teach coding to their principal, that is a huge thing to me. I brought that photograph all the way to MOE to show to them how empowering it is for the student. Can you imagine you are a Form 4, Form 5 student and teaching your principal how to code, teaching your teachers how to code. You go to other schools and teach other teachers how to code. See how it has flipped. Uh, so those kind of stories need to be told. So what we need now are storytellers. We need more storytellers. Richard, maybe this is something that you could pick up and teach them how to tell stories. Tell their stories. I think if more and more of these stories are told, it would inspire others to come. And if this kind of story goes out into the international world, um, I'm sure a lot of other people, other Sabahans who are doing well over there would be inspired to come back and assist. So what we need to learn now is to be a storyteller.
Thank you very much, Puan Sri. I cannot agree with you more. I think to the Sabah youth, don't be shy. Just share your story. It's not about boosting. This is not boosting. This is just sharing your story and let people leverage on your story, leverage on your experience, and create more better things. Right? Don't be so-called kedekut that no worry that people stole your idea. I think this world we just share. We need to share to make it a better place. Right?
I like to share, Dr. Chu, that that's why we should do data record keeping earlier as well, because that is the basis of your stories. You can show the data, why it works or it didn't work, and actually that becomes that story as well. Back to you, Dr. Chu.
Thank you very much, Arthur.
So
One
just
Street.
another thing about this storytelling. I remember this sharing. One of the TIC member went to for an interview in one of the university, and he was asked, "Why should you deserve to come to this university?" Say, "Because I'm a maker. This is what I've done." So he got in full scholarship. So that's
Yep.
what being able to tell your story is all about.
Yep. That's a very good advice. Hopefully, the youth out there that you are listening to, following this webinar, take this advice strongly. Yeah. Next, Mr. Richard.
Yes, I think I really love about the storytelling part because it is very much relevant to the North Morning Historical Society, which I started back in 2011. Because back then there was not a single platform out there that you can refer to that actually you can find about Sabah's history, and that was the reason I started North Morning Historical Society, because I couldn't find it anywhere online to all these resources in a single place where I can refer to and get information and those kind of things. So I thought to myself, instead of trying to finding one, why not I start one? So I started it, and of course it took some time to build the momentum, get people to contribute, and of course I believe after 10 years now, it has created a lot of different stories, and from there I could build a lot of different content. We're talking about the Sandakan Death March, for example, or talk about the Japanese invasion of Sabah and those kind of things. And all of these can create a lot of interesting stories, because I think we have so many contents in Sabah itself, but we don't have a lot of great storytellers. So that is the problem, and I believe the young people nowadays, they have a lot of access to all these different social media platforms, especially TikTok, which TikTok can generate thousands and thousands of views from people. And why not leverage on TikTok to generate content that is very much relevant to build the ecosystem in Sabah, instead of just shooting video of yourself eating instant noodles, for example. So they can work together with people like Arthur or Puan Sri Mamun to create a lot of different content to really push this great stories about what's happening in Sabah to the world. And I believe that is a great opportunity to really promote what Sabah has to offer to the world. And of course, as I mentioned to you about the storytelling, right? Because I just shared something on my Facebook a couple of days ago. So there was this image that I found on the internet. It says Rolex sells status; they don't sell watches. And Supreme, the Supreme brand, they don't sell. The Supreme sells scarcity, not clothing. Harley Davidson, the bike, they sell lifestyle, not bikes. And Apple sells simplicity and style, and not electronics. And I believe similar to Sabah. Sabah then, when the Sabah tourism push out all these beautiful places in Sabah, they don't actually really push the beautiful places. They're actually selling experience. And when people go to Sabah, they want to experience the beautiful jungle, the beautiful beaches, and all the beautiful nature. So I guess this is a perfect opportunity for young people to really leverage on digital platforms and push out great stories about Sabah, and working with all the relevant parties like Arthur, Puan Sri Maimun, and Scenic, for example, to really push out these great contents and tell stories about what's all the great things happening in our state.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. Yep, it's correct. Like myself, I will visit Sabah every year pre-pandemic as my holiday, and it's not because of just of the places. It's an experience with the people, and the Sabahan people is very very special. I mean, to a Semenanjung guy, right? It's very special. It's very, very special. So that is why it keep on attracting me and keep on going back to Sabah rather than any other states. Yep. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. I think we need more people like you, like Puan Sri, get more people to start talking about Sabah, right? And Arthur.
So the the concept about what we do in terms of our communities and so on. Wait, I'm trying to figure out how to sum it up in a simple way as well, and also address one of the more interesting comments that I've read actually in the comments about um, their access to internet is hard and access is only available in big cities, because this is actually a very big challenge in Sabah. I want to note that we recognize and acknowledge the problem that rural areas have, and this is why there are places like Tenam Innovation Center and so on. A lot of this is centralized right now. And even though the internet is the great equalizer, so to speak, we still have a problem, because after that, some people have no internet, so they cannot tell their stories anyway. They have to go to somewhere nearby where they can record, have internet to send their stories, which is now the main issue as well. Um, as we move along, as time goes by, eventually the internet problem will clear up. But what we can do in the meantime is make sure that people are aware that there is a problem. And actually, we've been raised on the idea that we shouldn't complain. Janganlah terlampau bising is what they usually say. But the point about this, especially for youth, and us people as well, not just youth, but all of us, is that if there is a valid reason to complain, then we should complain. We shouldn't just keep quiet, simpan diam saja, because that too is a story to tell. And it's also a story behind why making can be challenging sometimes as well, because sometimes you don't have access to the resources, but sometimes the resources are there but you don't have access to the training material because it's all online. So in our organizations, Kinabalu coders included, we try and solve this by ensuring that you have the available hardware, and we talk to the trainers who are the closest to us, like what Wan Tri Maimun said, the teachers, and then we also do it for students as well. um, And if we can, even those that we cannot, I think summed up is rising tides raises all ships. This means sometimes we may not be able to reach a specific community because they're far away or in the pedalaman and so on. But what we can do is affect other communities or nearest to them. That way, eventually, that rising tide there at the other community will eventually move on to the next community nearby. And it so happens in a domino effect, and it spreads across Sabah. So, yes, you might see that only big cities have it, Sandakan, Tawau, and so on. But rest assured, actually it's slowly spreading out across all of Sabah. And actually even better, because it's not like people are waiting for it either. Sometimes they will just reach out and talk. Like Tenham side would ask KK, hey KK, what are you doing? And then we can tell them what we're doing, and then so on and so forth. So just to give a bit of idea about this, because there's actually quite a lot of not complicated, a lot of problems can be solved if everybody had internet. So I hope this sort of also adds a little bit more to what is the situation that we're facing in Sabah right now in terms of digital making, which this is the larger challenge. Back to you, Dr. Chu.
Thank you very much, Arthur.
Yeah.
But I hear for Arthur very strongly is please don't wait. Yeah, please don't make that internet is not available as a reason to stop you from start your journey, the digital making journey now, right? Start moving, and internet will
Yes.
come. Internet will come, right? Like Arthur said, it will come, right? When it comes, you are ready, and you are many steps ahead of other people. Yeah, so don't wait and just give excuses, say that, oh, no, we don't have internet, we cannot do this, we cannot do that, right? Yeah, and then I think that's very important. That is very important, right? Turn all those limitations into your advantage, right? Don't just look them as, oh, that's my limitation, I cannot do that. No, I cannot do this, right? But turn them into your advantage. All
Actually, if
right.
I may, Dr. Chu,
Sure.
one last thing.
Yeah.
Um, and here's a story actually that I think would be easier to tell as well. So a lot of us when we talk about high technology, right, sometimes all we look at is the Western world, the United States or West Europe, and say, wow, lots of technology. Their technology is determined by the fact they have great internet, but they are actually other role models and examples that you can take from countries that have less internet. Now, you probably don't hear this often, but it's something that I mention even in my 9 to 5 work, which I work in a company that handles infrastructure for the state government here in Sabah. I didn't mention that in my background, but point being is sometimes the role model is not the United States, is not Europe. Like, for example, Africa has terrible internet, but they actually solve their problems with SMS, just with SMS. So this is actually a good example that you don't always have to look high and mighty. You can start small, but you still can find a solution to that problem. So just a little bit of add on to what Dr. Chu said to clarify also.
Good advice, Arthur. Good advice. All right. Thank you very much to all the three finalists. Right, there are lots of takeaway for the viewers and a lot of points for the viewers to digest. But I quickly sum up. What I heard probably. I just want to point out a few points. Right, to remind the viewers. Connection. Remember, connection is very important. Connect to people. Don't think that you are alone in this world. All right. There are so many Sabahan. There are so many talents in Sabah or by Sabahan around the world, around Malaysia. Tap into that, right? Can always connect certain people, and you will definitely arrive on find the people that you need, right? Then, like Arthur said, right? Pan Sri also mentioned this. Trust yourself. Right? Don't always look to the Semenanjung, don't always look to US, don't always look to the Europe. Trust yourself. You know what is better for your own people or it's your Sabahan. All right. And whatever you do, tell a good story. Right? Don't always think about use Facebook to show like what Mr. Richard said. Don't go and use TikTok to show what you eat. Right? I think that's enough of a lot of food in Facebook. Do something that to tell the story of your own states, yeah, of Sabah. And if you like to complain, please don't just for the sake of complain, you complain constructively. I think people will listen. All right. And then if people don't listen, take your own action. Don't wait for people. Right. I think that is one of the things. Right. Don't ask what government can do for you. Ask what you can do for the government. Or this one probably I'll say don't wait for the community to help you. Do whatever you can to help your community. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. And there are a few questions from the viewers. The first question has been answered by Arthur. There's a second question from Facebook by Vivianti. Bagaimana pula untuk menimbulkan kesedaran untuk membantu? All right. So probably I think Puan Sri or Richard, you have to take this question. Bagaimana pula untuk menimbulkan kesedaran untuk membantu? Probably Richard and Puan Sri, you can give some feedback from corporate background.
As I say earlier, people don't know what is your problem until you share your problem. But and also good stories attract people to come in, good people to come in. So tell your stories and tell what needs to be done. Stop complaining and just do it. If there is a requirement need to be done, hold someone, the authority to account. But by and large, just tell your stories. The good, the bad, the gaps. The more people know, the more they'll come. They'll be attracted to it. But when you tell the story, make it compelling and don't make it like a complaint. Make it for what the fact. Show it as the facts of the life. So how you tell the story is also very important. That it has to have a positive vibes. It has to have hope to it. Don't complain about, oh, me, we are the victim. No. Tell the story that shows hope, that empowers. And yeah, this is what is lacking here. But yeah, these are some we need help on this area. But here are some of the things that we are doing about it. So don't wait for others to come and help. Just do it.
Thank you very much, Puan Sri. Richard, you have anything to add on to that question?
I think what Sri Maimon mentioned said, I think that is correct. You don't actually have to wait, and of course at the same time as well, what Mr. Atta mentioned about the internet being an equalizer, it is actually very true. Despite the internet challenges in Sabah, but I think anyone nowadays can start something, especially if it's actually solving a problem. For example, I think in Sabah itself, you have multiple problems that are actually affecting the society and everything. But if you can find one solution to the problem, I believe there's an opportunity to create something out of nothing. So I guess you need to have that kind of mindset. Try to avoid being, somebody who's felt being victimized. Because I think anyone in Sabah can do the change, especially like as I mentioned earlier about the internet. Internet is full of resources. You can, get almost anything, and you don't actually have to create something new. Because I believe a lot of the ideas, even some of the ideas that you think of today, I believe it is not a new idea. It is actually has been taught by somebody else in other parts of the world. But there's an opportunity to replicate that idea and customize it for Sabah. And I can give you like this is actually a real example because when I used to live in China, and as you know, China back in early 2000, they were known as a country of copycat because any new technology that is actually developed in the Western world, China would actually copy it and make it better. But if you look at the trends and how is it happening of the last 5 to 10 years, China is really spearheading in the technology and innovation space. Because, for example, when I arrived in China, there was no bullet train in China, and today they have the biggest bullet train network in the world. And also, for example, cashless society. If you go to China today, and if you bring cash, people will laugh at you because everybody in China, they make payment using their mobile phone. So they just simply scan the QR code. As you know, I think Malaysia has already adopted pretty well today. But imagine a few years ago when we talk about cashless society and people would laugh at us because in China people have already gone cashless. So I think this is the kind of example that I can give. Opportunities in Sabah, they're actually huge because there are a lot of problems faced by the different types of industries, and they're always trying to find ways to solve using technology. And if you can find people like Arthur at One Three, or even people from Scenic, for example, they can provide you that advice to create something.
Thank you very much, Richard. All right, there's one more questions from the Facebook by Vivianti as well. What can we do to rally more people, especially Sabahans outside of Sabah, to help? I open up to the three panelists. Anybody? Arthur, you like to try?
I can try and answer. My one will be more from a community perspective because I think there's more than one way to do it. Again, the internet's the great equalizer. So I'll use this opportunity also to post a sort of advertisement because this is a way to get people from outside to come in. What you do is go online, like our Robonio Online coming in the fourth quarter of 2021. So the reason why I raise this is, again, the internet being the great equalizer coming in. Now imagine this. What if you could have robot combat, robot racing online? Now the point is, this is something that can reach beyond our physical borders of Sabah. And due to the internet, it has become so much more accessible for these people to come back, and expose themselves one more time and say, hey, you're great at programming, and so on and so forth. So this is one way we can attract attention back, in the sense that we ready the platforms so that we ourselves can reach out and people from the outside can reach back in. So it goes back to, what platforms are you using for communication? Is it useful? Can you communicate properly across that platform? For example, it could be, again, these are the problems our society here in Sabah is facing. Maybe a Sabahan out there, from his experience, has said, I've seen a solution for this. How can he reach back into Sabah and say, I can try and help you solve this problem? Or if you have a team, maybe that team, it could be from an agency, it could be from Scenic and so on, says, let's work together. So they must be that communication platform, some sort of channel that the external world can reach to us. And of course, that channel has always been, and even more so now, the internet. So there's that. But at the same time, we also want to attract more people coming in. So although historically our Robonio has always been, at a shopping mall and so on, now is a great opportunity not just for Sabahans outside to join, but also for Sabahans anywhere in Sabah, regardless of where they are due to the pandemic, to actually join our Robonio. If you'd like to find out more about this competition as well, feel free to just Google for Robonio or look out for Kinabalu Coders website on Facebook as well. And yes, we dare say this is the longest running robotics event because we've been doing it since 2014, except this year is fully online. Anyway, back to you, Dr. Chu. Hope
Thank
that
you
answers
very
the
much.
question.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Right, Puan Sri and Richard, do you have anything to add for this question?
I think we don't have to just specify that it's Sabahan who will come back and help. Uh, the whole world out there can come and help, but to a certain extent, the government has got to make it easy for people to come and help. Uh, I remember one of our program where the mentor is from a volunteer from out of from a foreign volunteer wanted to come in. It's so difficult for them to stay and assist in Sabah because of our immigration law and whatnot. We are not welcoming others to come and help. I remember another partner of ours where they have to send their Japanese volunteer back because they cannot get the work pass to stay on and volunteer. So we need to change some of our um, very close minded way of working with the outside world. Whether we like it or not, it is a global world. We need to be able to allow outside people to come in and out. It's not that they want to get a citizenship in Sabah. Okay? It's not that they want to get a job out of Sabahan. They are trying to support the Sabahans, but it's very difficult to help. So there are certain things that the government needs to change. Um, that is one. And then the other thing is the mindset of waiting for somebody to volunteer to come. I think it needs to change. Um, it's up to the people in Sabah to come out and ask for help. So you don't wait for people to come and help. Ask. Uh, I, my own experience. I call up a coach in Australia for help just because my former boss know that coach, and he was so ready to coach me. And you know how much he costs an hour? If it has been a commercial transaction, it could have been, I would have to pay him 25,000 Aussie an hour. But because I asked, so I asked him, I said, Graham, why were you willing to help me? He said, because you asked. Ask. You never know who'll come and help.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think, yeah, because it's difficult for outsiders just to come in, but we don't know what you need sometimes. And we will give you, you want something, then we give you another thing, right? And it defeats the purpose and it frustrates people. So I think it's true. Just ask, right? Doesn't matter. Ask 5 people. I'm sure that somebody will help you. Right? Just keep on asking until somebody comes to your door and comes to offer the help. Right? Yeah, Richard, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think what we mentioned is spot on again. Yeah, all you have to do is just ask. Because nowadays you are connected, so connected on the internet, and if you can get on platforms like LinkedIn, for example, you can easily reach to a CEO of a company. Just by dropping them a message. Of course, it's not that straightforward, but there's always an opportunity to try. I mean, if you compare this to 5 to 10 years ago, there's no really a platform that you can get onto and then try to reach out a management level of a company, for example. And I've been doing this for quite extensively for my work at this point in time. I get to connect with a lot of business leaders from around the world, and what Dr. Chu mentioned, just ask. One stream mentioned, just ask. You never know what's going to happen next, and it's all everything is all about connecting the dots, building your network, and finding opportunities. So yeah, stop blaming yourself, stop playing, being the victim, because internet, again, it's the best place to really learn and build something out of nothing.
All right, thank you, Richard. And last question for tonight is from Facebook, Mr. Edward Lai. How do you ensure that youth empowerment and engagement is the way forward for Sabah Maju Jaya? Anybody? How do
Maybe I can
you
start
ensure?
with Maybe I start first, real
Yeah,
quick.
for sure.
As you know, we are launching something exciting very soon, working with the Kementerian Science, Technology, and Innovasi in Sabah, and of course with CINIC and some of the relevant players, KKIP Aerospace, for example, to push out drone technology. I believe it can change the landscape of the tech industry and all the industries in Sabah, especially in agriculture. So in terms of, you talk about Sabah Maju Jaya, there's an opportunity to empower the youth, whereby youth nowadays, they are not interested in agriculture, but we believe with technology, with drones, they would be interested to manage, agricultural lands and farms. And if you combine it with IoT technology that can be developed using Raspberry Pi, and people from Kinabalu coders, I believe they can help as well. I believe we can really change this, and we want to do this in a large scale. And I think this is aligned with what Sabah Maju Jaya is intending to do, and hopefully we can really launch this project in Sabah.
Well, I don't really understand enough about what Sabah Maju Jaya is all about. Haven't read the documents or whatever yet. But I think to empower the youth and to engage with the youth, you start from school. You start them from school, and you empower the teachers, you empower the students, and after that, leave it to them. We've
Thank you very
seen
much. Yep.
the proof of concept is there.
Yep. Thank you very much, Kwan Sri. Arthur, do you have anything?
Looking at Sabah Maju Jaya, well, actually, this is not just about empowerment for Sabah Maju Jaya. We as adults, regardless of whether we're youth, older people, or people in government and so on, right? We need to be frank and honest about the actual problems we are facing. Too many times we hide behind buzzwords, and we don't actually know what the actual physical implementation of those buzzwords entail. So what I mean is um, not that I'm meaning any disrespect to anybody here, because I also use this word all the time. We speak of empowerment, but what exactly is empowerment? So the idea is, in order to empower people, they must first have information, actual information, which is why I raised this point. We must be frank and honest about our problems. We cannot sugarcoat what those problems are. So if there's an internet problem, what is the root cause of the internet problem, and so on and so forth. Taking this. So the idea here is, in order for any plan to succeed, that honesty must be there. The data must be there so that we can address what is the cause of the problem. So I'm just going to say that generally, but because this is what we always face in the community as well. People sometimes, it's not their fault. It's not that they are lying. They don't know how to explain the problem, or they not only do they don't know how to explain the problem, they're not even sure what's causing it. So we have to get to the root of all things. So we need to be frank and honest about these things, rather than just pay lip service to certain technologies. We must understand that everything, there's a trade-off between the use of the technology, and as well as for the community, maybe their data and so on and so on. So these are the things that it boils down to, being honest about actually what we are solving and what the problem is. Because I always see that as I cannot define what the actual problem is. Yeah, back to you, Dr. Chu.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much to all the finalists. Right, on behalf of I was told there were about 45 viewers in Facebook and in Instagram. So on behalf of the viewers, majority of them are from Sabah. Right, thank you very much to Puan Sri, to Mr. Richard, to Arthur for sharing your views with us. Right, I personally want to thank you guys from bottom of my heart for three very wise panelists. I hope, and on behalf of Sabahan, I hope I can represent Sabahan. Hope that you guys will continue this journey for the betterment of Sabah in whatever capacity you are. All right. And to all the Sabahan youth out there, hope you are inspired by these three panelists. Right. Like, remember what they say, right? It's okay to start small. Right? Just start. Just do it. Just do it. But stay focused. And like what Arthur said, langgar sahaja. Don't care.
Yeah,
just
langgar
do
saja,
it.
langgar saja.
Right? Right. So you always start walking in the park, and one day I'm very sure you will reach the summit of Mount Kinabalu. Right? Just do it. Just walk. If you cannot walk, crawl first, and one day you definitely will make it to the summit. All right. That's all from us tonight. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe. Good night and Selamat Hari Malaysia, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Wow,
Happy
thank you.
Malaysia Day.
Selamat Hari Malaysia.